Let's get into the game itself, and as you can see, the first to have a look at is going to be Spaden as the host of the room. Looking at the map, that's going to be pretty much standard Arabia, it seems. Yeah, so killers are going for Arabia, and otherwise civilizations are going to be Mayans for Spaden. Beta is playing Aztec, and well, that's quite a lot of difference in here. Aztec is playing Huns, and Lalet Mongols. Okay, so that's going to be quite interesting, especially from the experts. Or, well, they are almost all experts here. And from RFR, this is really going to be quite interesting to see what they are going to be playing as a strategy here. So, let's just send a message here. And let's have a look around. So right now, Spaden is scouting around his base. He's kind of plastered to the wall. He, unfortunately for him, doesn't have any kind of gold or whatever in here. So yeah, it's kind of not easy for him to defend potentially. He knows that the mines are on the left. So yeah, he will be having kind of easier time actually building some kind of tower if he's under very early and heavy pressure, but I don't really expect that to be happening here. But still, let's put off the fog of 4 and see how defensible it is going to be. He's having both boars on the left, so he hasn't discovered them yet. Where is he actually with his Eagle Scout? At the bottom, and he's so far not really having any kind of luck finding them, so yeah, he should be coming back there, so that's just a question of time, but yeah, he better hope that it's going to be in time. And I didn't really pick him up as getting all the extra sheep here. He's having just 3, so that might be a bit of a problem for him, and he might be forced quite a bit earlier into the deer here before he actually wanted to. So extra gold and stone at the bottom, as you can see. So yeah, that's going to be something. Since it's next to the corner, I wouldn't really be expecting to be having any kind of problems for Spaden with that, and he is closing in on the bars. Yeah, they are just behind the forest. That's going to be the correct course of action, and right about now he should be seeing them, and it's just about right. He's having just 2 sheep, he didn't discover anything else, and right now he knows that both are on the left, and he will be quite safe. So let's switch into another player from RFR. That's going to be Beta, who's already butchering one of the pigs. Second is being lured in so that he's safe and doesn't need to worry about anything. And well, this is a pretty sweet spawn for him, as he has 2 safe gold mines at the very back. And looking how he's Aztec, well, it doesn't really matter who you are in a 2v2, because obviously you are going to be having quite a big advantage from safe gold. And yeah, this is going to take just a wall here, or yeah, probably a bit further, because this would be, if he plays the wall here, this could be dangerous for potential raiding by archers or whatever. And on the bottom, yeah, there's just 1 palisade wall and he's pretty much safe. Otherwise, though, in the middle, or rather towards the middle, he's basically open. That's going to be kind of hard for him to wall up, even though with some use of buildings, this shouldn't really be all that hard. As if you look at the right side, he's having both stone mines here, and I'm kind of thinking that he will use both of them as part of the walling. This is going to be really easy, and this one as well. So yep, this is a pretty sweet map for Beta, I think, as he will be having just 1 way inside his base, and I think it's not really going to be all that problematic for him. He's already scouting quite well ahead to find his opponent, maybe trying to lure some, or rather steal some boar if he can, but he apparently cannot. So let's switch into killers at this stage. First is going to be Tvik, the 2k player from Klrz, and he's already butchering, yeah, boars at once. Not really optimal, but yeah, doesn't really matter all that much, I would say. He's already dropped a mill here as Hans to go for the berries, and otherwise extra hunt at the very top. Stone and gold on the left, and oh, that's quite a lot of hunt actually. Quite a lot of hunt, but looking how he's in kinda middle of the map. When you look at the minimap, you can see that he's kind of more positioned into the center than all the other players. Yellow and green are basically plastered to the wall, and yeah, the same could be said about Beta as well. So only one from this map is going to be Tvik, who is having a pretty decent opportunity to basically open, or rather control, the middle of the map and potentially make it work for his team. So let's turn on the fog of war yet again to have a look how he sees the map here. Save gold at the back. Stone on the left. Yeah, I wouldn't entirely call it safe, because it's going to be kind of hard to wall up. Yeah, on the left, that's going to be a lot of palisades or whatever, but he should really be working on it quite soon, as he's probably going to be experiencing quite a lot of aggression. Right now he's already under attack from Spaden. I'm not exactly sure where this villager was going, but I would be thinking that he was going for either some kind of lumber camp or whatever. You will see pretty soon, I guess. This one was definitely a lumberjack, and yep, this is going to be a lumber camp on the right side, and it's kind of interesting position because I would be expecting this is going to be in castle age position for next TC, as obviously this goal needs to be protected, and with the tree line right here, yeah, that's going to be quite useful for him in the later game. Otherwise though, really open map, not as for example Beta or even Spaden, and I would be expecting a bit of a problems because walling like about here, that's kind of far away from his home base, and I don't really think that he's maybe going to even attempt walling, as it's going to be quite hard for him to do anything about it. See, maybe a bit of a luck here. Oh, maybe just a pause. Good late for Twig, but we have already seen that Lala's already advanced, and this is quite curious because both killers have advanced very fast into the next age, whereas both Spaden and Beta are going for later advances. They are already at 24 villages. It's going to be definitely something different from them, and well, let's see how this is going to work for them. I would be expecting some solid rushes from either Lala or Twig, because they are obviously advancing pretty fast, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all by that. Well, is this villager going for exactly the barracks that we are hoping for? Oh yeah, she is. And looking at the left, we see that the barracks are dropped together with stable right now for Lala, so he definitely is going for pretty much the standard for Mongols, which is going to be Scout Cavalry raid-in. Unfortunately for him, Beta did have pretty nicely positioned Eagle Scout who saw all this. The Vic right now seeing that he should be walling. Well, yeah, potentially, but not really sure how he's going to achieve that. But at the same time, he's maybe signaling that his opponents are also walling, and well, Spaden seems to be doing a pretty decent job of that, which basically signals that Spaden is going to be advancing into Castle Age sooner than his opponents. Yeah, this is kind of interesting wall here without the connector. Well, that's curious, but at any rate, shouldn't be any kind of way through here. And he has finished with the walling on the left and at the top as well. Oh well, this poor guy is on the wrong side of the wall. So, not exactly sure if he wants to delete the palisade, but I think that's going to be the better course of action here. So let's see if that will work out for him. A bit of a harassment by the scout, but it's just a bit of a delay here. But looking how many villages actually Spaden using for the wall, in that's 2 villages, with third, fourth behind the wall here. That's 4 villages actually just doing walling, so that's quite a lot of them. And let's switch somewhere to the bottom, where we see that Beta is going for 4 militia rush together with the Eagle Warrior, who is almost full health. And he's aiming exactly at the sweet spot, and there's not going to be all that much of a defense for those yellow villages. But looking at their numbers overall, I don't really think he needs to be running all that much, even though those 4 militias are going to be a bit problematic, because usually you see 3. So yeah, bit of a problem, and he's trying to corner them in. It's a pretty good idea, because he's yellow is trying to use the advantage of numbers. So far he's winning. He has killed one of them. Second, and pretty good micro right now, it seems, right, from Lele. He has killed 3, and at least 1 villager is dead, but otherwise that's pretty much it. And I think that Beta definitely hoped that he can take quite a lot extra out of this, but he didn't, and he killed just 1 villager, and I'm not exactly sure this is going to be something that he will be happy about, as he probably hoped that with the 4 militia rush he could be doing a bit more damage than he did. Okay, so this is going to be the last seconds of this scout from Red, who has unfortunately been involved in, but he's also sending quite a lot of archers, yeah, actually, yeah, and he's sending also villagers in. Okay, so is he going to be building yet another archer range right on the doorstep of his opponent, or is it going to be a trash? Yeah, he's going to be building a watchtower, which is a pretty good idea. Unfortunately for him, Spaden is doing a pretty good job with the scouting, so he is going to be knowing quite soon enough. Well, right now, going in, and well, he might be building the tower pretty much in safety here, about here, yeah. He's going to be fast enough, and unfortunately for him, or rather for a red player, yeah, I don't really think that this tower is going to be all that much that he hoped for. Yeah, he also switched to the left, more to the left, because obviously this tower would be killing it, which is something that he doesn't want, but this tower should be still covering this stone here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6. Well, it's going to be quite close, but yeah, you can see that Spaden wants to be sure, so he's building yet another tower. and spending quite a lot of resources here, and this is going to be developing into double from Klrz. Both Lele and Vic are right now at the same stage, and yeah, unfortunately he's arriving a bit late, as obviously those towers are going to be quite decent protection. And oh, he can't actually he couldn't actually eject those villages. Well, that was kinda sucky. He had to leave the palisade, but that's not really much of a problem. But the combination of both those scout cavalry guys together with the archers could be quite problematic if they break through, which they quite probably will. They quite probably will, and this tower is basically wasted. It did force Spaden to actually build two towers of himself, which he definitely didn't want, and spent quite a lot of extra stone on wall in here. So that's some kind of success, but I'm kind of thinking that killers will actually hoping for more. They might be able to kill some villages. And that's end of the walling, but unfortunately for them, there's already quite a lot of hit points, 500 hit points, so that's pretty much end of this raid, I would be thinking. Come on, can I click on the wall here? Probably not. Ah, yeah, now I can. That's going to take quite a lot of time, and if Spaden is actually in the mind, he could be building yet another tower, and yeah, that could be pretty much it for this attempted raid-in as well. Okay, so he's moving forward, and oh yeah, he's trying to wall him in. That's a pretty decent idea. Unfortunately, if it wasn't for those archers, that would be pretty decent. But right now, he's just going to lose at least one villager, maybe a second one, but not really expecting it right now because they are eating all the way to the home. But this tower will be pretty much the only defense that he needs against all this. Yeah, a bit of a player in here from green player to actually know, or rather show his ally where his opponent is, and there is also a bit of a raid-in right now, heading into yellow's base from beta. It's a pretty decent army of crossbowmen together with pikemen, because they are already, or rather he is already in castle age, with Spaden advancing pretty soon, I would be guessing also. 300, well, not really pretty soon, but he is definitely aiming there, and he seems to be switching from yellow player into the red. That's kinda curious, not exactly sure what is the motivation here, because obviously yellow is the farthest from the battlefield and near the green base, so he would be potentially open to some kind of raid-in. But maybe through some scouting he saw that there are going to be already walls in, and he's aiming for the player that is going to be having a harder time walling up. Okay, going to the right side. Is he going to find something in here? Oh yeah, he definitely will. He will find a way through, that's what he will find. That's what he will find, and that's pretty much going to be it. He's probably going to find also his death in there, as even though he is having just archers red player, I'm kinda thinking that should be enough to get away those scout cavalry guys, but yeah, he's just right now running away. Switching back, but unfortunately just the palisade comes up and he needs to go around the wall in him, so that's a bit of a problem and miscommunication in the Klrz team. But looking at the amount of villages, I kinda thinking that Vic should be able to defend himself, even though he's going to suffer some kind of losses, but not too drastic, and Beta should be thinking twice before he engages his opponent yet again. So this is pretty much it with the attack here. The towers built for the green player, which is bit of a waste of the stone here, which he definitely didn't want, as he is a Mayan, so he definitely needs all the castles that he wants, or rather needs, in the next age, in the castle age, as obviously those plumed archers are going to be quite powerful against his opponents. Okay, this is going to probably develop into yet another attack on his opponents, as Beta is yet again trying to send in yet another squad of crossbowmen. It seems to me that they are having a pretty much the same numbers. But looking how yellow is already in the castle age, everybody is instead, or rather besides Spaden as castle age, and this might be a bit of a problem, because if he waits long enough for the crossbowman, he will be in a pretty good position, and oh, yeah, he definitely shouldn't be taking this fight, because crossbowmen are in, together with Botkin arrow, in just a matter of moments, and especially with the knights from yellow player, this will be quite problematic, and basically a waste of resources for Beta. So that's a bit of a surprise, I would be guessing here. Come on, Lele. Just right now looking at the green space, not really paying attention, and near the red player. Finally he is, and yeah, this is going to be the death of those crossbowmen. So let's wait for it. Yeah, he should be probably just going not straight up, but behind them to stop them from attacking, or rather from retreating, and allow some extra shots from Vic's crossbowmen. But right now, it's not really going to matter all that much with the big hill advantage for the red crossbowmen. So this is it. Let's have a look how it went near the green's base. Not really all that much well. So obviously Townsend Race right now being dropped, which is going to be a pretty decent defense of both the gold and the stone. And together with the second TC, this is going to be 3 altogether. He's going to be well on his way into standard booming as the Maya. Yet another squad of Betes crossbowmen are coming in. And is Yellow trying to catch something interesting here? He's trying to raid his opponent Beta, trying to basically stop the raiding of the crossbowmen, but he's not going to find any kind of way inside the bases here. For the horses at least, he could be having some kind of luck with crossbowmen. That's right now 4th week, but it's probably not going to happen all that soon, even though he seems to be aiming there, as he's probably finished with the walling. Yeah. Oh, well, not all that much. He should be careful about this, especially with the cavalry archers that he's going to attempt to raid his opponents. He might be open to raiding himself, so let's see if maybe RFR are going to use or rather take advantage of that, but so far it doesn't seem so. And the Vic will be quite a bit problematic for his opponent. Right now trying to push through the walls, with Beta trying to finish with the houses. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty decent idea. But looking at this very thin wood line, he will be in a lot of problems from those red cavalry archers, and they seem to be aiming exactly at that position, with crossbowmen coming to the middle here. And Siege Workshop being built by Lele, right on the doorstep of Beta. Well, he's pretty soon going to be under very heavy attack, and with just those crossbowmen, that's probably not going to be enough. And he's so far having 3 TCs, just as his ally Spaden. And so far, well, I don't really think they are all that ready for the concentrated attack by Klrz that is so far coming, or rather, seeming to be coming very soon. So let's switch into Lele, if he's already queuing in. Oh yeah, I'm gonna already queuing in to get rid of all those crossbowmen, which are still growing in numbers, obviously. But looking at the bases here, we see 1, 2 TCs for the Mongolian player. Yeah, just 2. As for the red, we see 1, 2, 3 TCs for him, so that's pretty much standard. And let's see how this is going to work out. As obviously Twig has arrived at the same time at the base as his yellow teammate, and he's still trying to wait, or rather find some way into green's base, but that's probably not going to happen here, as obviously with those cavalry archers he cannot really take down all those stone walls. They seem to be pretty impenetrable, especially with the castle right now built to protect as much as he can. There's absolutely no way through, so it seems like that the most important battle is going to be happening here. That seems like a pretty good shot, at least to take some hit points of those guys. And really, oh yeah, this is a very nice maneuver. This is a very nice maneuver, and this is going to cost quite a lot of crossbowmen and hit points to Betes guys with the weapons here. So at least he forced them to retreat under the TC, which is pretty important as well, because this basically denies this hill advantage to Beta, which means that those horses are going to be all that much more secure against the potential arrows from those guys. He's also having yet another Mangona on the left, trying to break his way through, which he will succeed in. But he will quite probably have to be careful quite soon, as Mangonas should be coming in from Beta as well. Yeah, one is in. So let's see how well Lele actually plays this. Some archers coming in, or other crossbowmen from red. This is not anything interesting, but this is interesting. That's Spaden trying to help, or rather alleviate the pressure that is right now on his ally, and he will be raiding his opponents. I'm not exactly sure where though, because obviously those cavalry archers are just going to wreck them if they are positioned well on the top of this hill. Right now they seem to be. So they should be doing a pretty good job in that. And together with the reinforcements coming in from the attack here, I'm kinda thinking this should be quite well in his hands. But at the same time, I would be slightly worried if I were red, because Spaden is having 71 villages, which is not half bad, and Twig is having 63, Beta 76, Lele 56, so the economies are definitely stronger for RFRs. That was kinda evident from the very start, but if Beta can somehow hold long enough with those 3s, he definitely could. And those pikemen also. So that's a pretty nice combination right now. And together with those Mangonas to get rid of the Mangonels from Lele, this could really be enough to hold him at bay and buy some time for Spaden to do something about red player. But he has already lost all those plumed archers in here, and he's right now massing some new army right next to his castle, but it's definitely not enough, as red is having quite decent production and is doing a whole lot better than his opponent. Is he going to discover this castle on the bottom? almost seems like that he might not. Let's just go back to the teal base where there is much more happening, but let's have a look at the, or rather keep an eye on the minimap in case those red guys are moving to the green blob where the castle is. So far they are not, so it's a bit of a luck for Spaden. But at the top it seems like that the army from Lala is basically dead. I'm not exactly sure why he is not having enough reinforcements in here. It's going for a wheelbarrow, but it's probably going to be accounted, or rather can be accounted to the weak economy from Lele, who is having just 60 villages, which is by far the least of all the players. So a pretty good job by Bete, who has defended himself and is actually having a pretty decent army together with those mangonels to get rid of his opponents potentially. So let's see about that. Those cavalry archers trying to kill some of the villages on the tree line. But of course with the TC here that's a bit of a problem, because if Spaden is paying attention he can just garrison a few villages. That's going to cost quite a lot of extra hit points to those armies, and that's not something that Red would be very interested in. Just 2 knights, so literally no army. Okay, so this is pretty much a damage control by Lele right now, who is trying to deny at least this gold for as long as he can, because he's basically recognizing that he cannot do anything significant right now. It's going to be that villager, and that villager number 2, and oh well, he can actually go around. And this is a very clever play right now from Twig, because he's sending just at least, or rather just, 1 scout basically. That's a scout to see if he has some way through, so that he wouldn't send everything in here. And in the meantime, with the bulk of his army, he could be stopping the wall in here, which is definitely what he's doing. And he can actually right now conquer the villages, and they will be having a hard time retreating anywhere. Okay, so those mangonels could be the answer. But before they actually kill those units, oh well, this might be a bit of a slaughter, especially with the friendly fire. Okay, right now he's taking care and retreating, but he did kill quite a lot of villagers, at least 4 I see here, so that's definitely worth it. And those 2 extras here, and this means that Beta is right now at just 73, and he has dropped to the worst position of them all. Not long ago it was Lele, who was at just 60 villagers, but right now it's Beta, and this is a pretty good play by Klrz, who are doing quite a good job against quite stronger opponents, or quite stronger. Yeah, I think we can say quite stronger, because NBL is basically more than 2200, but oh well, here we see basically a double with Spaden seeing that he needs to help his ally quite a lot more. Spade will be spending quite a lot of resources into rebuilding his economy, I would be thinking, and also he's advancing into Imperial Age and seems to be switching into Eagle Warriors. Yeah, that's going to be a switch. Quite important for him as an Aztec, and yeah, they will be having a pretty decent attack. And let's see if he can make something substantial with it. He's having just 1 siege workshop so far, so he's probably hoping that he can raid his opponent to oblivion. The castle here is pretty important, as he's covering this stone. So basically, with Spaden going for a lot of plumed archers, that's going to be an important building for him. And well, it seems like that Thig is right now retreating and will be possibly hoping to advance into an Imperial Age as well. I'm going to switch into him to seal the resources, 700. Yeah, he seems to be aiming there, but quite slowly, I have to say. And looking at the wall in here, this seems to be pretty much complete at this point, which is quite important, obviously, for the trade route. There's going to be a bit of wall in here, and if they can manage to launch some trade from about here to about here, yeah, that's going to be quite safe for them, and very, very long indeed. Not much going on for the offensive, but for the castle drop for green player, because he has recognized that with quick retreating there's going to be Imperial Age coming pretty soon, right now clicking in. And this is definitely the window of opportunity that he's hoping for, and with the amount of plumed archers and the hills thrown across this part of the map, he will be having a pretty decent opportunity to really take it. And if the castle is going to be built, yeah, he definitely needs more villages than this one. Otherwise he would be in a pretty terrible situation, but with the amount of skirmishes, it's a pretty nice switch from Tvik. He might be finding himself in a bit of a pickle, as obviously this is not ideal. But look at how Beta is joining in the battle, and he's having Eagle Warriors absolutely everywhere right now. He's having in the middle, not finished wall is going back to bite Tvik, and together with this Lyle, I would be thinking very soon as well. A bit of a problem on the gold mine here, and quite a decent army on the left. And if he can break through some of the some of the buildings here. He will be just inside the bases, but with the castle being prepared, it seems like that Lele is preparing for his Mangurais very soon. Let's go back to the right side, where the red army has been basically annihilated. You can see just a few remaining skirmishes together with cavalry archers, and this seems to be, I wouldn't be calling it a deciding push, but it seems decidedly strong. That's what I think we can agree on. And once the siege workshop is actually up, and some siege rams are coming out of it, or just normal rams, doesn't really matter at this stage, that might be pretty much it, because I don't really think that Vic is having the economy for, well, he actually is having the economy, 96 villages right now, but he's going to be losing them quite fast. Yeah, you can see that's absolutely a graveyard, and I don't really think that he will be able to come back from this, because he's being very heavily doubled, and there's absolutely no help from the yellow player, who is under attack himself, and yep, you don't see absolutely anything happening in the forefront. And I'm not exactly sure, is he maybe slinging or whatever? Well, that's not really a kind of sling, but with a very strong attack right now by Spaden, yeah, this seems kinda worried that this is going to be quite hard for Klrz to come back from. Right now villages are still pretty decent, 90, but 50 idols, that's basically a dead economy at this stage. Yeah, he's going for a bit of a wood here, but that's pretty much it, with the DC coming down, and this one being very heavily raided by all those eager warriors. Well, very high times for the red player, and he has basically nowhere to run. He could potentially run to the left, could run into yellow's base. That's definitely a way that he could run away and save himself some units and economy. But looking how the amount of plumed archers is still growing. Finally, some extra army right now switching to cavalry is a pretty decent idea, and he's at least stopping this castle, which is at least buying him some extra time. But without some kind of mangonels, I'm kind of thinking this is a bit of a critical mass of those plumed archers. As yeah, not even cavalry should be good enough in here. And since Twig is not having any kind of resources to go for paladins right now, I'm not really thinking this is to stop this kind of attack. He's going to kill those trebuchets, which is worth it, but with the eagle warriors just killing absolutely everything in their side, just look at the amount of skeletons in here, and those plumed archers finishing up. Yeah, this is pretty much it. A little army from Beta, just basically finding any kind of army that yellow could be having. Right now he is finally switching to Mangurais, and he will be trying to help, but I'm not exactly sure if Mangurais are the correct unit here, even though they are strong and pretty good unit against Eagle Warriors coupled with a pretty huge amount of plumed archers. Yeah, that's pretty much not going to work here. Castle being built, oh, that's going to be a massacre of Phillies, but they might be finishing with this. Might be finishing with the work, yeah, they will. But is it going to be enough? Well, it might buy him some extra time, or buy some time to his ally Lale to actually do something with the game with those Mangurais, but he's right now retreating and basically just trying to secure the castle here, or rather the map position on the left, and hoping that his ally can hold long enough before he is moved himself and ready to do some serious damage. Lale is right now at 110 villages, which is more than Beta, but still, looking at Spaden at 88 and Twig at 55 with 41 idle, I don't really think that's going to matter all that much, as this is basically developing into 2 versus 1, and not even Mongolian player is going to be strong enough to handle that, I think. And those plumed archers are slowly but surely making their way inside yellow's base. It's just going to be a question of time. I don't really expect to be, yeah, nothing happening in here. Not sure what those pieces were doing in here. Let's have a look back into Red's base, where he's been, yeah, basically killed. Just a slaughter in the progression. And castle down, and I would be expecting a GG very soon, because there's literally nowhere to run for Twig, and he's even recognizing that, I think, moving to the right, and well, GG is being called, and this is quite interestingly played by RFR and also by Klrz, because they were having a very significant advantage in the early game, but it seems like that the more investment into the economy from RFR definitely paid off, and that was basically what decided here, because even though Lele together with Twig did some substantial damage to Beta's economy, they didn't do enough, and they basically just allowed Beta, or rather brought Beta down to the level of Twig, and yeah, that wasn't enough to kill him. That wasn't nearly enough to kill him. Very nicely played, and RFR are leading 1-0. So let's have a look at the achievements. with Spaden being the MVP, but very closely followed by Bete. Yeah, they were playing both pretty well. Bete defended very nicely against the strong attack from Twig and Lele, but he did lose quite a lot of villages in there. Maybe could have been a bit more diligent with the walling, which he wasn't, and he paid for it. So let's see if in the next game he will be. Units lost 172, 96 killed. It's not an ideal ratio, but exactly the opposite for Spaden, with the Bloom touches obviously. Bit of a slinging going on from Spaden into Beta at the very end and from Lala into Twig, but unfortunately it didn't really matter. It was really at the very end of the game. I was checking at like 35-40 minutes something. There was literally nothing, just like a few hundred. So it didn't really change the course of the game at all. Very early advance into the next stage. 9-10 for the feudal. 19. Well, GG then.